Brother Time does not offer medical, financial, or any other kind of professional advice or opinion. This is just us talking about things we want to talk about, so take it with a grain of salt.
What if we did, though?
If we had salt next to us while we were no. We sell little packets of salt that our listeners can buy.
I mean, it's a weird accountability thing if you give medical professional advice, right?
Yeah.
Could they sue you for the free advice and get their money back?
Yeah, get their money back. Yeah, they didn't get what they paid
we offer
for.
a full refund.
Yeah.
Or they would blame you for whatever consequence.
Yeah, I think it's more of the consequence thing. Like disclaimers, that's all it is just
preemptively blocking idiocy.
Yeah, because I mean, what if we did a segment where we discuss the implications of a particular surgery?
Or a diet.
Yeah, something like that. And, we're just talking.
We
wouldn't
really, I wouldn't even feel comfortable talking about, like, in an encouraging way, like ankle swapping surgery.
Where you swap ankles with your best friend?
No, I meant feet. So you swap your left and right ankle.
You swap the
ankle. So you get wear on the other side of the ankle. You know how they rotate tires? It'd be...
Or like you find that you turn right far more than you turn left.
Yeah, so that right ankle, that left ankle would be worn out. And so...
Well, that actually sounds like solid advice. You should talk to your doctor about getting your ankle swapped.
Talk to your doctor today.
Everyone you fight is not your enemy. Everyone who helps you is not your friend. Mike Tyson.
Is not your friend.
Now, is that one of those things where they write it exactly as he said it? Is that why it says "is not" instead of "is not"?
It's a good question.
Because as terrifying and imposing as Mike Tyson is, he does kind of have he does talk a certain way.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, he does kind of...
Is not your enemy.
Yeah.
It's not what I said.
He's one of those people that, like... I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I would be terrified.
I don't think he's a nice guy. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Like,
have you seen his interviews?
It's nice to think he's a nice guy because he's so terrifying.
He's a serious guy. He's a very serious man. He does not like for people to fight with him.
Oh, okay. So does his trainer, is it like really serious? It's probably terrifying being his trainer.
Oh, it's terrifying watching him hit a bag.
You probably have to have really good health insurance, and your premiums are probably really high.
And you probably have to regularly swap your ankles out.
I'm Josh, 8 of 10, and my computer uptime is 18 days, 20 hours, and 13 minutes, which is not a good example because... I work in IT, and 18 days uptime is not good. Like,
is that like 30 days without an accident or something?
No, it's just
and just to clarify, that's at the time it's been running, right?
Yeah, that's the time
without a restart.
Yeah, that's the time my computer's been on without a restart. And the way you get to that is if you've got Windows, I don't know how to do it on Mac. You could Google it and figure it out. But if you open up your task manager, you go to your performance section and the CPU tile, you should see somewhere in there uptime. It'll tell you how long your computer's been on. I actually use that pretty regularly in my job, and I show users that, because what'll happen is they'll submit a ticket. They'll have an IT issue, and the first thing we always do is ask them to restart, because that solves like 99% of issues.
Yeah, because the longer it's running, the longer it has time to pick up issues.
Yeah, the longer it has time to generate some random problem that we can't really solve. It's just some obscure bug that's never going to happen again. And that's the thing, is if it's recurring, it's a different story. But if it's, one-off, that of course we start with that.
Yeah, and I'll don't think of computers in that way.
Yeah, and I'll get responses and they'll say, yeah, I restarted. And then I'll log in and I'll look at the uptime and it'll be, 18 days. and I'll call him, we'll sit together, and I'll say, "Why did you lie to me? I thought we were friends." No, I'm just kidding. I just pointed out to them the thing.
I knew we weren't friends.
The uptime doesn't always reset if you do like a hybrid shutdown, which in Windows 10 by default, if you shut down, it's not restarting and resetting all of those services. You have to restart. So there's that like random little tidbit. Anyway, I took up a lot of time saying who I was.
Oh, I'm Isaac, 5 of 10. My uptime is 25 days, 9 hours, 50 minutes, and 44 seconds. Oh, it changed. 46 seconds. Wait, 48 seconds. So 25 days.
Actually, since we've been talking, mine's changed too. Should I reread it?
No. I leave this computer on all the time.
Yeah, I do too.
After you were saying what you were saying, I think that 25 days ago is when I did a restart for something I installed. Yeah.
And computers are so energy efficient now, unless you're like Bitcoin mining or something silly like that. The power usage, which used to be the main concern, is pretty much a non-issue. And then also the wear on the hardware for keeping it running is no longer a concern. I'm sure it's obviously running it versus having it shut off. Running it is going to wear it down, but they just don't wear out like they used to. Hardware's just better.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about our computers over this break. And we're back, and we've got more technology stuff to talk about. Let's talk about outsmarting technology. Because I saw this video of, there's this guy that reviews technology and random things, and he does a good job, and I'm blanking on his name, and I feel bad about that. But
Peter, Paul, Tim, Tom.
No, I don't actually. It's like
Chris.
It's like DXP something.
Anyway. Okay. We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, it's not that, because I just Googled that reviews and it's not that. But anyway, so he was reviewing, there's this thing, these AI assistants that you can buy that are basically the size of a credit card, and you can like clip them to your shirt. And
is it the Pod?
I don't think that was it.
No, I know what you're talking. Yeah, that's been marketed to me, and I'm like, no, that looks dumb.
Yeah. And there are a lot of issues with them, with those AI assistants, obviously, because AI itself has a lot of issues. And this was just a funny thing I saw where he had it configured to not be able to know his location. He had that turned off so that it couldn't know his location. And he asked it what the weather was like. What's the weather today? And it immediately started telling him about the weather in a specific location, in a specific zip code, which just so happened to be his exact location and zip code. And he stopped it and he said, "Why did you pick New Jersey as the location?" And the AI said something like, "New Jersey was chosen as an example because many people live there and know about the location." And he said, "No, do you know my location?" And the AI was like, "I do not have access to your location."
Nice.
He said, "Then why of all places did you choose New Jersey? Do you know where I am?" And the GPS like, "No, I don't know where you are. Many people know about New Jersey." And so it was randomly chosen as an example of weather to answer your question.
Nice.
Yeah. Crazy, right? So he was trying to outsmart technology, and I think technology might have outsmarted him. That's also probably a bug, I would think.
IP address is pretty easy to determine. I mean, any web browser, if you're on any website, it can tell you where you're, at least, unless you have a VPN, where your location is. Yeah,
because communication is a two-way street.
And that's nothing to do with GPS. That's with the towers, the cell towers, and your internet provider is going to rat you out. All that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the technical answer, is the AI did not have access to his GPS location, but similar to where if you Google weather on Google knows where you're coming from and can usually give you but it's just funny how the AI was trying to gaslight him into
I don't know where you are.
I have no idea where you are. What are you talking about?
You
Here's your
should feel
exact location.
comfortable.
Yeah.
You be comfortable. I know about the location stuff because I use Starlink, the satellite internet, and it will refer to like the nearest big city to you, and in relation to Starlink. So it thinks I'm in Chicago when I'm actually closer to Madison, Wisconsin. So it automatically reports my location and as Chicago, and then there's little bugs with that too because I'm logged into different accounts, and it's like, how'd you get to Chicago so fast? I'm logging you out. No, I'm just trying to check my email, Microsoft. Calm down. Anyways.
Oh, I see. Like you're roaming about and your phone thinks you're where you are, but then as soon as you connect to your Wi-Fi, it thinks you've teleported to Chicago.
How'd you get to Chicago in 2 minutes? Nope. This is definitely... Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, and you put in a topic
do you know
printing.
Why you can't print in black and white when your yellow runs out?
I don't know if you're wanting to just give me an answer to that, but what I assume is it's lazy. It's a lazy configuration by the developers.
It's like it's a scam to get you to buy a whole bunch of yellow ink by the ink corporate.
The thing is when they designed a printer, they probably, the smart thing to do would be to take all the features you want to include and tick off the ones that aren't worth the investment or the time. And that's probably one where they're like, okay, should the printer be able to tell what color ink it's out of, or should it just blanket be like, I'm out of ink, you need to make sure there's ink before I print? And they said, well, if we do that, that means that we will sell less ink just because, people will stay with like a single color because maybe they don't care about the printing color. They were like, okay, well, then we're going to lose money by spending money on developing that feature. Let's just not do it. And then that's how I assume it happened.
I believe some printers that won't let you print when you're out of yellow will let you print when you're out of cyan or magenta. And and that should be a clue. It actually prints yellow when you print black, and you're like, oh, well, it must be trying to make a richer black, right? No, everything you print, they embed a code in yellow ink, yellow dots that are nearly invisible that say, that basically reveal the serial number on your printer so they can trace back to who printed every document.
Oh, for counterfeiting.
It's forensics. Yeah, well, that or just in general, they can trace to the company that sold the printer. They'll know the exact Walmart you bought that printer at, and then from there they might be able to track you down, but who knows.
So what if you print everything in yellow?
I think you just beat the game. But no one's going to buy your yellow dollar bills.
I was going to say you show up to the store with a bunch of yellow ones.
You'll never prove it was me.
Small enough denomination to where they won't ask questions, but I mean, these are yellow dollar bills. You're just like, yeah, I think there was an issue at the bank. At this specific bank, they give out yellow dollar bills. Yes.
Yeah, that's a promotional thing.
It's a promotional thing in the bank.
Banana bucks. Yeah. This morning, I was trying to... we were trying to play a game together.
Yeah, I didn't want to make you feel pressured to tell the story.
And I thought it was clever because, like, the last time we went to play, I had to download an update, and it takes forever because of the way that computer is set up. That my little gaming laptop doesn't have enough hard drive space, so I have an external hard drive. Anyways, so I left it open, thinking, man, if I have to download something again, I want to do it before we play. And that makes no sense in hindsight, because if the game is running, it's not checking if it needs to update.
Yeah.
And I realized that I felt really dumb this
Because
morning when
we
you're
went
like,
to
"Oh,
play.
it says I have a different version," and I'm like, "Oh, please let him be the one that needs to update."
Uh,
that was not the case.
but in some games, just so you know, some games that would have actually worked. Like, not all games. I mean, I'm sure any modern game. So Helldivers, yeah, obviously that's not going to work. But I'm sure there have
Well, with
been games
multiplayer
in the
games,
past.
it should be like, hey, there's an update because I only want to play with other people. I don't want to play by myself. So
Yeah. Well, we tried to outsmart technology, and technology is just getting too smart for us, I think, is the issue. And let's think about that over a break. So this is another topic you put in. Lawyer insures cigars against arson.
yeah, so this lawyer, pretty clever guy. I'm not a huge fan of lawyers, but I'm also not a huge fan of insurance companies. So this is I liked this story. So this lawyer, he gets insurance, fire insurance on a cigar, very expensive cigars. I think they were like $2,000 per cigar.
Jeez.
You know, I know, right? Insane. He got them insured, and then he smoked them all.
Okay.
And then he files a claim. He says they were all destroyed in a series of small fires. And there was like, the insurance company is like, no way. You obviously smoked these. You were the person who burned these cigars. Like, this is clear. You're even admitting it. And he's like, no, I want to claim this injury. So they go to court. He actually wins. He gets, the judge is like, I mean, that's what they're insured for. And the insurance company sends him a check. The day after he cashes the check, he gets arrested. 10 charges of arson, spends 2 years in jail.
What?
Because that's how he was, the arsonist who burned these cigars. And he had to pay like several thousand more than he got back from the insurance company.
I bet you the insurance company was like leaning back in their computer chair, just like, gotcha. You're not getting away with this.
Yeah. So that's only happened once. Where the lawyer.
So I want to point something out, that the insurance company is really stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, why would you agree to insure? It's like insuring a box of matches, like a fire insurance on a box of matches. I mean,
well, if his home burned down, then that they would have covered that.
I figured that's the intent of fire insurance, but these are things that are meant to burn. So yeah, that's silly. But also cigar that costs like $2,000 a piece. That is also quite silly. But I think I'm just not cultured and sophisticated enough to understand.
I'm not a cigar person, so I don't know what it takes to make something that valuable to people.
You think a cigar person is just like wrapped in like the paper of that cigars are made out of, and they just like,
it's probably printed. It's probably wrapped in $100 bills, printed with yellow ink.
Yeah.
Yellow only. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a simple Google search would teach me.
Probably, but who's going to Google that? I mean, I will, however, Google CRISPR, because it's been out for a while, and it's one of those things that when it first came out, I pay attention to like science news. I listen to podcasts.
You're more of a science guy than I am.
Yeah, and when it was first coming out, it was touted as something that would revolutionize a lot of different areas of health, our care system. It lets us modify DNA, is what it lets us do, because it's basically using an existing vehicle to transport modifications to DNA is one way to say it. Which,
You know what CRISPR stands for?
what?
No, I was wondering if you knew.
Oh,
No, but
I could
I
tell
know what
you.
it is. It's clustered, regularly, interspaced, short, palindromatic repeats. So rolls right off the tongue.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure each of those words means something, but to me, it sounds like a breakfast cereal, but it is definitely not a breakfast cereal. Although they could probably use it to modify the DNA of the rice
breakfast
that was used to
cereal.
make the breakfast cereal. Yeah.
And then sell it and make a profit. This is CRISPR. Well, no, it's just this is CRISPR.
Yeah. I mean, before CRISPR, if we talked about modifying DNA, it was probably a very deliberate and manual process. And DNA is a pretty dense thing. There's so much to it and so many mistakes can be made. Whereas this basically automates, it's like a natural automation of changing DNA. But what was it? So you had put this topic in. What was it about CRISPR that you wanted to talk about?
I was actually more curious if anything had happened with it.
Oh, I want to say on a pretty regular basis, I hear about things that are being done with CRISPR. Nothing comes to mind.
Well, they are using AI in CRISPR now, so I feel a lot more comfortable with the ethics side of it.
Oh, you do? Because it's
well,
AI?
there's actually a new board of ethical oversight for AI and AI developers, and they put the most qualified people on there to regulate AI, and it's the people who run the AI companies.
That makes sense.
Basically, their CEOs are also, they're putting in the extra time, basically volunteering to put some oversight on themselves and their competitors.
Yeah, I feel like you're joking, but actually having oversight on your competitors can actually keep you honest, because like if you're doing something, no,
it's like, that's unethical. We just found a different way to make money. Yeah, the ethics are questionable, so we're gonna.
Well,
stop.
it's more
We're gonna
about
say you should stop.
It's more about scrutiny. Like if they say we're doing it this way, and the other guys are like, "How could you do that without having access to personal data that you shouldn't have access to?" Then it's like they have to. They can scrutinize that sort of thing if that happens.
Yeah,
and trigger some kind of investigation. I don't know how it really works, but that's the benefit I think of that. Aside from that, though, like if they collude on things, which that's illegal, right? So I mean, they wouldn't want to go to prison. Wait, it's a white collar crime. They're not going to prison. They're going to get they're going to get $1 million house and get to sit in that house all day.
Why would they even go to court? They would probably just pay a fine, if that. But usually they're going to pin it on one of the smaller companies somehow. Some guy in the off. Some guy they hired just to take the fall for it. Anyways, CRISPR though, I think it's going to have a huge impact. But I haven't seen it yet. I was thinking we'd all be immortal by now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a thing. Like we're going to live longer and longer, but I think it's going to get to a point where people are just kind of like, life's kind of boring sometimes. Like it's okay for it to end,
No, I don't think people are going to feel, well, maybe I feel like that's going to be a symptom of like poor health. You'd be like, you know what?
That's true.
It's really not.
If you had good health, if
and
they
that's
could
what
replace,
I think CRISPR should your ankles?
Yeah, they could replace your ankles, or at least swap them out, Or I mean,
I know,
swap your ankles, to
yeah,
get even wear.
yeah, CRISPR, the people have been using it for longevity for a while. I feel like that's the big money market. China has a different ethics system that, basically people can get experimented on in CRISPR. So with CRISPR, and they do. They'll go to China and have some modifications done to try to improve longevity.
Yeah. I heard there was a congenital disease that twins had in China, and a doctor used CRISPR to modify the DNA of the embryos or of the babies before they were born. I haven't checked. I've been periodically checking in to see because that's an ethical, that's a big ethical no-no. I think the doctor had some kind of negative repercussions because it's not ready for that. It hasn't been tested for that. That's like one of those things in like a science fiction, movie where it's like we're 10,000 years in the future. That's when people are doing that sort of thing. Not today.
10,000 years?
Well, I say that because as like that kind of, how do you test that truly without actually doing it? Like you can do it on animals, but
the guy who found that ulcers were caused by a bacteria, he had this theory, but there's no way it's unethical to do human testing, right? So he drank a vial of the bacteria, and sure enough, he got ulcers. And then I think he even went on to win a Nobel Prize for doing it.
I just picture them like he's like at his own table. No one wants to sit by him. And the person reading like the awards, like, oh, and so and so wins, and everyone just kind of like hesitantly claps, and they're all trying to keep their distance from him because he drank like some weird.
Don't want to share a beverage with that guy.
Yeah. No one wants to be near him. They're like, congratulations, and they go to slap his shoulder, and they like stop, and they're like, yeah, and give him a thumbs up. Okay, well, let's take one last break. So I was looking at CRISPR news items kind of while we were talking, and I don't know a lot of these words. Like I kind of understand CRISPR at a very basic level, but if you wanna feel dumb, just go read these headlines, because they use words that, like, I feel like I know each individual word, and then some words I don't know at all. But like even the words I know, I'm like, these shouldn't go together. These words don't belong together. What's going on? Anyway, just Google CRISPR news and
profluent. The first word in this headline, profluent. What does that even mean? Profluent.
You're for being fluent in languages.
Okay.
So like there are some people that are against language fluency. Like they do not like the idea that people can speak
I'm
without
reading the
struggling.
rest of it, and it's the name of a company.
Oh.
I'm like, what is profluent? What does that word mean? It looks like a legitimate word, but it is indeed like all words.
That does sound like a company name. Like, this very, it evokes a certain idea, which is how branding works, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is the end of the podcast. There's music playing in the background. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, now I hear it.
Yeah, let me turn it up. So this week, the winner, I think, is going to be technology. But you know what, Isaac? I'm going to give you the win because you were at the forefront of trying to outsmart technology this week.
Yeah, I get a win for effort. And I think most people, that's how winning works.
Yeah, I mean, what if they gave wins to people that didn't put in any effort?
The apathy awards.
Then, I mean, if they did that, I mean, of course they do that with Elon getting his like $1 billion paycheck this year for tanking Tesla.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
tanking.
You can Google it. He is dismantling Tesla with precision. with surgical precision.
What are you talking about? We'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, we need to. I guess we should have talked about it this week. But yeah, he basically deleted part of the company that was the main positive distinguishing factor that Tesla had over other electric vehicle companies. Their supercharge network. He said nope and deleted the entire arm that sets those things up. So,
wow.
How people would justify getting an electric vehicle over a gas vehicle when they wanted to travel, across the country, was the supercharge network. And just overnight, they're gone. And people in the middle of getting their supercharge stations at like hotels don't have them, and they don't know what to do because maybe they've paid for them anyway. Yeah, no, that happened. But maybe we can talk more about other things he's doing too. But yeah, he is.
Yeah, let's talk about it next time.
But congrats, Isaac, on your win.
Thank you.
And
I'm taking a bow.
Oh, well, that's very gracious of you to do that. It was like a participation trophy, so maybe don't bow solo. Like maybe just nod your head slightly.
You know what? This isn't an everyday thing. I actually have a small speech prepared. If you guys, you don't mind.
In a moment, you're going to hear a little click, and that's going to be when you can start giving your speech. Thank you, listeners, for listening. If you enjoyed this, please rate and review us on whatever podcast app you use. And you can find us online at brothertimepod.com.
brothertimepod.com.